Have a pencil and paper ready to learn and practice isometric ellipses. Hi, this is Mr. D. This is the third in a set of isometric sketching videos that I put together. The first one had to do with sketching isometric lines, and the second one had to do with sketching non-isometric lines, and this one has to do with sketching isometric circles, which are elliptical. Here's the isometric projection theory. Suppose you had a cube with a circle drawn in the front, and you twist that cube 45 degrees. You'll notice that each of those faces becomes foreshortened, and then you tilt that cube 45 degrees. Now you're looking at the isometric projection. And notice that circle has become elliptical in two ways. It has become foreshortened. It's not a typical ellipse, but we draw these dimensions, true size, in isometric drawing. We did a review from the first video to draw isometric lines. I asked people to draw a vertical stick until they were comfortable doing that, and then draw the Y shape where one line is up and to the right 30 degrees and the other line is up and to the left 30 degrees. And then we can take those axes and turn them into faces to make an isometric cube. And we change the sizes, the height, depth, and width of the isometric cube to make that eye shape. In the second video we did non-isometric lines, and to do non-isometric lines you have to measure along an isometric axis and plot points, and then just connect the points. There's a little sliding board down and to the right, a little sliding board down and to the left, and then we practiced letters. There's the V shape, and today we're going to concentrate on isometric circles, which are ellipses. And you'll be using a standard isometric cube. We'll be finding center lines and drawing them on the right and the left and the top isometric planes. I do more drawing in light construction lines to do this. So you might have two pencils ready. One is a 6H and one is an HB, and then maybe an eraser as well. Okay, the steps in making an isometric ellipse: first you'll find the center. You can put some center lines in there, and then you have to know the radius of the ellipse, which you can measure true size on the isometric axis. Then you want to box it in to make a little isometric box, and then you construct the curves. There are two different curves here. There's a long curve, which I call it the large curve, and then there's a shorter, tighter radius curve. But the top and the bottom long radiuses are the same, and the left and right short radiuses are the same. And once you know how to do one of these ellipses, like on the right hand face, the left hand face is the same, it's just oriented in a different direction, and the top face is the same, it's just oriented in a different direction. And I would recommend that you practice isometric ellipses on the right isometric plane. Do as many of those as you can until you're comfortable, and then do the left isometric plane and the top isometric planes. And remember to take a rest. I'm showing this video in 4 speed, and my hand hurts many times along the duration of this video. Okay? But sketching is a skill that takes practice and increases your hand-eye coordination, allow you maybe to print more nicely, and you have to be concentrating every step of the way. Place your center lines in there, determine the radius, sketch in the large arcs, sketch in the smaller arcs, darken it in. And remember that these ellipses are identical, they're just done in the different orientations. And we're working towards making realistic isometric sketches, and we're practicing on isometric lines, non-isometric lines, and today isometric ellipses. I don't swing my paper around as much on this video either because I wanted to try to stay under the camera, but you feel free to move the paper around as well as your pencil. Okay, practice those top and right and left isometric circles until you feel comfortable with those. On the next page I've drawn holes through isometric cubes. And again, we start with the isometric axis, the vertical line, and the line up and to the right and the line up and to the left. Convert those axes into faces, find the center lines, find your radius for the ellipses, draw the large ellipse, small ellipse, the large curve and the small curve, and then they're repeated. Now this particular cube goes back a couple of centimeters, and the difference between the center of the front ellipse and the center of the back ellipse is the same. The center to center distance is the same as the thickness of the block, and only portion of that back ellipse is drawn. And again, we don't add hidden lines in isometric drawings unless they enhance the understanding. I drew one on the right. I went on and drawn one on the left. You want to draw the center line and then go back in the same direction up and to the right 30 degrees to get the depth of the hole. Sometimes holes aren't through holes and you don't see the bottom of them. These three sketches I've shown as through holes. And what we're showing in that back hole is the intersection of the round and the back surface. In technical sketching, lines are used to show edges of the parts or the intersection of details. And then the last sketch I did here probably took me 5 minutes. I show isometric cylinders. Remember, start in your 6H lead and do construction lines of the cube and the center lines and the inner circles. And then I've projected the inner circles out, down and to the right, down and to the left, and up along those isometric axes. And then I tried to repeat identical ellipses and then connect them with tangent lines. A line that just touches at one point on the top of those ellipses and a line that just touches on one point at the bottom of the ellipses. And I'm not showing anything behind those cylinders. Okay, you got to practice whatever you feel comfortable within. The next video I would like to do isometric rounds. Someday I might do isometric, non-isometric circles. Okay, this will serve you well. And thank you for your attention today. Take care.